Hello there, and welcome back to part 3 of my interview with Arlene Espinoza regarding her quantum healing session or QHHT session. So during her session, we had several things happen. Part 1, we talked about her journey as that spiritual person, that shaman. And then in part 2, we talked about the connection with her and her husband, Dennis. So in part 3 now, we're going to talk about her son. And during the regression, we were able to actually tap into the higher self of her son, and we got some really incredible messages there. But before we go into that, one of the reasons that Arlene had called me was that her son had been seeing spirits and having conversations and talking to the other side. So, I would like to just ask a little bit about, prior to coming in for the session, what was going on with your son? What were you experiencing, and what were you seeing in him that you were questioning?
Well, he was seeing entities. At first, it started with seeing shadows. Then he would see people. Well, not people, but more like silhouettes. For instance, once he asked me, "Mom, do you see that?" And we're sitting down in our living room watching TV, and there's no light source coming in. The blinds are closed, everything. And he's like, "Do you see that right there, Mom? Do you see that?" And I'm like, "Where? What? Right? What are you looking at?" He's like, "You don't see that rainbow person right there? It's a whole rainbow person. You don't see that there's the head and there's a..." And I'm like, no, baby, I don't see that. And he's like, "But it's right there, Mom." "Okay, love, well, we'll sage." That's what we'll do. Yeah. We'll sage. Then he had very vivid dreams. He came once, and these things were becoming more common. And it was happening more frequently. So he came to me one day, and he said that he was seeing himself in the mirror in the bathroom. So he was getting ready to take a shower, and he saw himself in the mirror, and all of a sudden he realized that it wasn't him, but it was another boy that looked like him, exactly like him, but then his reflection started not following him. So he would do something and his reflection would stay still. And so I'm like, "Really? Then what happened?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, and then after that, Mom, this lady came in and she was beautiful. She looked nothing like you." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you for that." Yeah, nothing like you, Mom. She's tall, and she had, long hair, and and he's describing her, light, almost white hair, and so she almost glided when she walked, and he's like, all of a sudden, she had a little girl with her, and the little girl didn't talk, but he described her in such detail, the little girl, and he loves little girls, so, he just told me all about the color of her eyes, and then just in such detail where I was like, wow, this is a lot of detail for a dream or a daydream.
And how old was he at this time?
He was like, I want to say 10?
10?
Yeah, like 9, 10, right around there. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not sure what to tell him at this point. What do I say? Don't worry about it. Do I say, "Oh, mijo, it's on what?"
On your head,
right?
Yeah, but you knew better, and take
right. I knew better, but I was still like, okay, how do I handle this? Because I'm obviously not seeing what he's seeing. Right, and so I don't want to discredit him, but I don't want to scare him, and I don't want to, make him feel like he can't tell me and he can't share with me. And then he had anyways, that particular experience, he told me how a portal opened up in the bathroom. He's like, and they asked him to follow them. And he went. So I'm like, "And you went with them? What are you thinking? You don't know these people, and you're just going with them?" And he's like, "Mom," he's like, "let me tell you." I'm like, "Okay, let's just don't go with people." So he's like, "Yeah." And so he's telling me how at the end, they walked through like a forest, and they were having a conversation. I'm like, "What did you guys talk about?" And he's like, "I don't remember, Mom." He's like, "All I remember is that the little boy and the lady were talking to me, but the girl, she never talked. I'm like, okay. So then they returned him back to the bathroom, and at which point he came running out to tell me about it. And I was like, and you haven't showered? Why haven't you showered? Right, so, well, in the shower, it seems to be like, for some reason, like his room and the bathroom are right there next to each other. And that's where all these experiences were mostly concentrated. So, one of the main reasons, I guess, that really motivated me to finally contact you was because he said that as he was showering, he saw this claw, this big shadow hand with like, that looked like claws and just enormous hand that grabbed, that was trying to steal his, and he told me, he was trying to steal my soul, Mom, he was trying to steal my soul. And mind you, we're not religious people. Okay, soul, God are not really common words in my household.
Right.
I talk more in the lines of universe. I talk more of the lines, these things, these words he was using were not something we were accustomed to hearing. So he's telling me, Mom, this big claw, this big shadow hand he goes, I felt that way. Like my soul came out of my body. He's like, he was gonna take it, he was gonna steal it. He's all, but it was like my soul was too glued to my body. He's like, I just felt like the middle of me. He goes, I felt it come out and then just kind of like bounce back. He's like, and I felt the vibration of the soul coming into my body and just shaking me, Mom. He's like, it was so scary, and he was very distraught about this. He didn't obviously want to go in the bathroom anymore. He didn't want to take a shower anymore, especially there. And then again, what do I tell him?
Yeah, how do you deal with that? And
Yeah.
you know what, the thing is, one thing, and it just made me think of that when you're talking about that, is because we are told so many times in sessions to ground ourselves. That is one of the reasons why, because there is dark energies out there that are trying to capture the light workers. And so, that comes up a lot in sessions. But anyway, so he's trying, somebody or something is trying to capture his soul.
Yes.
So
and he felt it. He saw it. And he still remembers to this day. He remembers clear. I mean, it made that much of an impact. But his description of the feeling of the intention, that like he could feel the intention, he could feel the impact inside his body. All these things that he was describing to me. As a mom, again, it just left me like, what do I tell him? How do I make him feel better about this fear he now has? And I can't tell. I'm just gonna be okay because I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know my kids.
And that's why one of the biggest reasons why you wanted to have the session, so we could get those answers to that. And just to make the audience aware here, also, our children pick us, and they pick us for a reason. So that's another thing that we wanted to find out, was why did he pick her? And obviously Arlene could help him through this journey because of her journey and what she came here to do. So she was here to help guide him, and that's why he picked her. But let's just go into what happened when we were able to go into your session and we connected to your son's higher self. Do you remember the messages that you received? Because one of the things that we asked was, how can you help him on his journey? Because that was something that you needed to know.
Yes.
How do you help him?
The thing is that, I guess, definitely one of the big questions, and I want to emphasize how important it is, to have, I want to say a good quantum healing hypnosis person that's doing it, because I didn't even think of that question. And that was such a great question. As a parent, we want to do what's best for our children, not only in this lifetime, but also for their soul. And I hadn't even considered that
we could even do that.
Right, or that he would have picked me for some reason. I never even considered that. And through the session, we found out that, yes, he did pick me. And that the reason he picked me is because I'm the light. And I am, I have this kind of activated, constant light that I'm projecting, and therefore it could help him in his journey, in his process, in his life, because he needs that, because he has a role to play in the awakening, and he has a role to carry out, and a mission to carry out in the future. It also said that because he had been having very vivid, extremely vivid dreams, where that was another of my concerns. And a lot, every single morning he'd wake up, Mom, you know what I dreamt? All right, tell me. As I'm drinking my coffee, it'd be like an hour of just listening to him talk in detail, extreme detail, sounds, smells, just everything, sensations, thoughts on his dreams. So I thought that was very odd and peculiar. And again, how do you deal with it? Do I tell him, stop dreaming and focus on your school and your schoolwork? You should be thinking about this, which is kind of part of me wanted to do, right? Okay, that's enough of that. Let's think about your math test.
Which is what a lot of us would do, because we are here living in this human existence.
Right.
So we falter back to that human part of us, that we need to get our homework done. We need this, that.
Right.
But because you're a light worker and you understand the process, that wasn't your focus.
It those thoughts would come to my mind, but then I'd be like, there's a reason. This is, and I wanted to know the reason that I didn't want to know, and so we did find that out, which was great, because it was a relief, it was a relief to know there's nothing wrong with him. Which I already knew, because he doesn't exhibit any alarming
behaviors,
right.
or schizophrenia. But you know what? This is the thing. Our children that are coming in now are so gifted, and they're coming in with this knowledge that we are being downloaded with, and our DNA is changing too. But the kids that are coming in now already have this information loaded in their DNA, and they're able to go away during the dream state, or they're pulling them out of their bodies to teach them, and so that they can lead us and help us into the future as all of these systems in our world break down. Because we have to change our educational system. We have to change the medical system, the banking system. All of it has to change. And as it changes, we're going to need new teachers. These kids are coming in with this information to help guide us and lead us. And so what did we discover? What was happening to him at night when he's sleeping?
Well, he was actually being taken into...
and I want to point out, not the physical body.
Right.
It's not his physical body that's being taken.
Right.
It's his etheric body.
Right. So while he was sleeping, he was being taken by his spiritual team and taught. He was being taught what I was told was a lot of information that he's going to need to teach in the future. Mm-hmm. So they're preparing him to be a teacher.
Yeah, and one thing that they said that he's being taken by the blue beings. And I thought that was really interesting, because the blue beings are coming up a lot in sessions.
Are they?
So, yeah. And they call them a lot of times the blue avians. I don't think we explored it that deep to find out if they were the blue avians at that time. But when they said the blue beings, and now that's coming up in a lot of my sessions, maybe that's something that we can explore in the future and see a little bit more. But one of the other things that we did that I thought was really amazing, when we tapped into her son's higher self, we asked her son, what is it that you need from your mother? And what did he say? I love this part. I think it's so fun.
He said not to yell at him so much, because he doesn't need that, and he's not lazy. And what was happening was that I wake up really early, and I enjoy it so much. I go to sleep early, I wake up early, I go on my hike. This connecting with nature. It's spiritual. It's very transcending for me. And it's like in so many levels, it's a great start to my day. So of course I want to include my son in these practices, and build good habits. And so I would try to wake him up in the morning. Mind you, we do this hike and we come back in time to shower, to eat breakfast, to get him ready for school and still get to school on time. So we're talking about like 5 a.m. Wake up at the late, and then it's like run, hurry up, come on, let's go. So I was trying to wake him up and he wouldn't wake up. And he was, in my mind, he's being lazy.
Yeah.
In my mind, he's being lazy. He's not getting up when I'm telling him. He's not, cooperating. And so I'm yelling at him, get up, did I tell you to get up? Come on, why won't you listen to me? And so the message was, and I was told very clearly, to not yell at him, that he's not lazy, and he's tired, and he's being taken away. There's a lot of knowledge that he's absorbing, and kind of to be more sympathetic to that, and let him sleep.
Yeah, and I thought it was a great message, because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes with our children. And so be a lot more patient, a lot more tolerant of them, because, if they do sleep a lot and have a hard time, because, when we lay down at night to go to sleep, our body sleeps, but our soul never sleeps. So I know some of you have probably woken up in the morning and you feel like you have been active all night, and you're wondering, why am I so tired? I just slept 8 hours. That's why, because our soul is very busy at night. And a lot of times that will bleed through into our physical world. And I know that that's what was happening with him. Yeah. But you were given that very clear message. Yeah. That it's very tiring on him, and he needs to sleep. Yes. So, yeah.
So, as a parent, it was a great realization that what's good for me, might not necessarily be what's good or best for my children.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I try to impose, and I use the logic, well, it's great for me and I love this space. And, so it was a great lesson to understand that, we are individuals. We can't assume that, they're going through the same thing we are.
Yeah. So. Don't mind the dogs in the background. We've locked them outside in the backyard, but anyway, I want to ask one more question to tie up this part of the interview is, so how has your relationship changed with your son now? Knowing the information that you have been given during this session.
I've always been spiritual, so I really did try to, like, certain concepts I know that I brought him up with, as far as like the universe and the energies of we're all made of, quantum physics, all that knowledge, as a matter of fact kind of way. But now I'm much more attentive to what he says. I'm more I guess pay more or give more importance to, give more validity to what he says and the experiences he has. I mean, they're fascinating. Now he's having experiences with his schoolmates, and that was kind of shocking to me, because these kids are talking about spirits, and they're talking about entities, and they're talking like
no matter yeah. It's
you see him too? Oh, no way! Yeah. And I'm like, wait, what happened? And he's like, no, Mom, yeah. Like, I was in her house, and she told me that they have, a ghost that lives there. Like, and I saw this person going over there, and so I followed it. And they're having these experiences that are so, I guess, out of the ordinary, right? And they're talking about it like. It's not
it's like part of the natural world. Yeah. And so pay attention to your children and be open to what is going on with them. And I know I wanted to share one instance too. You said that your son was sitting on the bed or something, and your son saw another image of himself on the other side too at that point. And then
he said he looked at it, he told me, Mom, you would never guess what happened. I'm like, what happened? Well, I saw a parallel universe.
Yeah.
How do you know those words?
This is what he's learning in his teaching.
I'm like, wait, what? Where did you get this from? And he's like, look, Mom. He's like, he goes, I woke up, he's like, and he says he wasn't even asleep. He's
Yeah,
like, he
he's
was
like,
just
just a
chilling
date,
in his
in
room.
his
Yeah,
room.
he's like, I was chilling in my room. He's like, I was in my bunk bed. He's in the bottom bunk bed. He says he's laying there looking at like his phone or something. And then he looks sideways. And I told him towards the mirror. And he's like, no, not the mirror that way, but the wall. He's like, I was looking at the wall. And he's like, and I saw myself in the same bunk bed, like mirroring me. And I go, what did you do? He goes, Mom, I was shocked. But what did you do? He's like, I just stood there frozen, just looking. And he goes, but I could tell the other me was in shock too. And he goes, and we're just looking at each other. I go, and then what happened? He goes, so we stood there for a long time. And I'm like, okay, so then what happened? He's like, well, finally, he goes, I moved because I wanted to see if it would move too. I wanted to see if it was like we would correlate in our movements. And he said it didn't. Like when he moved, the other hand didn't move. And he's like, Mom, I could see the shock on his face. And he goes, but it was me. And he's explaining it to me, and he's like, and I go, and then what happened? He goes, I didn't know what to do. He was like, I was scared he goes, I didn't want to come off my bed because I didn't want it to end. He was like, I thought it was so awesome. He's like, and I was curious, but at the same time, he's like, I didn't want to cross the universes. So he didn't know what to do. So he's asking me, what should I do next time it happens? Because he said after a while, I guess when he got up, it went away. Mm-hmm. So he's asking me, like, what do I do? And I'm just like, baby, you're the only one that could know what to do. I was like, you just need to breathe, and you need to, like, connect with your heart, and you just need to do whatever feels natural to you. And, kind of like just experience it and don't worry about it. It's nothing bad, right? He goes, no. Yeah, he goes, no. And I think he likes it. I think he enjoys it.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is we can learn so much through our children if we open up and just allow whatever's happening around them to happen and be a part of it and ask questions. I think that, but I mean, don't grill your children, you know what I mean? But be open so they feel safe to come and talk to you and tell you about these kind of things that are happening, and then we can learn and grow through them as well. So is there any last message or advice you want to give our audience before we end the session on this segment?
I think that's definitely the number one key. If you do have children that are experiencing these things, build a comfortable space where they can feel comfortable coming to you and, not kind of blow it off and not kind of, and also not, I guess, over accentuate either, but just these are going to be common, things in our future that happen, so we kind of want to treat them as such, give them the value that they have, but at the same time don't kind of make them the center either. Yeah. So he feels, up to this date, he feels like a normal kid. Mm-hmm. He doesn't feel any type of responsibility upon his shoulders, like I wouldn't dream of sitting there and telling him, you're going to do this. Yeah, you have great teachings to give the world, like I wouldn't want him to feel that pressure. So
let him be a kid.
Yes, I'm trying to keep it very, very light, and as you said, he's taught me.
Yeah.
He's taught me a lot. I mean, he lost his dad at 5. And, despite that, he's kind of shown, a maturity to him, a maturity to life, and let them find their way, because he has been looking up stuff, that has to do with his journey, mm-hmm. that I have had.
You would never even know how to guide him on something like that.
No, I wouldn't. And himself, like I don't pressure him. I don't bring anything up, and he'll be like, "Oh, Mom, I was looking at these videos on YouTube, and I was like, oh, yeah, what are they about? Oh, they're about not being judgmental." And he goes, "I don't think. What do you think about that?" He goes, well, I don't think people should be judgmental, Mom, because, that's really unfair. You don't know what kind of journey the people have gone through, and, maybe they, they had an accident, maybe something happened to them, and so he's telling me this.
Yeah, what wisdom that they're gaining.
It just made me think, like, wait a minute, we haven't had conversations, so, but that's right, I've been dropping the ball, right? Yeah. But he's teaching me, and he's so excited about it. He's telling me he's watching his videos, and he's almost crying, and all on his own.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
So
I love it.
Yeah,
love it.
So at first I was scared. I do want to say that I was scared because I don't limit his screen time. I don't limit his YouTube. I don't, and he had been playing a lot of video games, which I don't limit him at all. So he does, with his brother and stuff, play the shoot 'em up games, the military games, so I was a little concerned that should I stop this? Should I, am I not servicing him and helping him in his journey? And then when all these things kind of started happening on their own, it was confirmation that we don't have to we don't have to shield them from the world, and we don't have to get their hand and hold them and walk them through it. The universe knows how to do that for itself. They're being guided, and we don't have to be the ones to forcefully do that.
Yeah. Well, it was beautiful, and I loved the session. And we want to say thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for listening to this interview with Arlene Espinoza. Beautiful. Thank you, my friend. I love you. Okay.
Namaste.